Next, we will enter into the next agenda. The presenter is Maria Ressa. Please applause. Do you know who is Maria Ressa? She is CEO of Rappler and senior journalist who have worked for a long time in Indonesia. Normally she covers about terrorism. It's very interesting and she can speak Bahasa Indonesia. Oh, I apologize. My Bahasa Indonesia is not so fluent yet.
And I came of age in Indonesia in 1995, and that was part of when, my gosh, such a different world from today. And I remember it, and it is so good to be back and for you to come and listen. It may seem like, and this is always the way it is, it may seem like it is never good enough. And it really should never be good enough, but there are some really good things. And one of the reasons we're here is because we believe in the global goals, and we believe we can do it now, right? And we believe we can do it with everyone's help. Indonesia
Orang Indonesia adalah sebuah negara yang besar. Mari saya tunjukkan apa yang bisa kita lakukan bersama. Dan ini yang Anda bisa lakukan. Ini adalah landscape Anda di seluruh dunia. Hanya ada 3 miliar pengguna internet, hanya 40%. Tapi lihat Indonesia, Anda hanya mempunyai 28% penetrasi internet. Halo? Tapi 121% pengguna ponsel. Lihat, apa yang bisa Anda lakukan dengan ponsel Anda? Anda bisa melakukan banyak hal dengan ponsel. Dan ada 72 juta account media sosial. Di Filipina hanya 40 juta. Dan saya akan tunjukkan, Anda bisa melakukan lebih banyak. Dan Anda sudah membantu untuk memilih presiden. Sementara ada ekspektasi yang signifikan dari presiden ini, bagaimana dengan peran Anda? Apa yang bisa Anda lakukan? Bisa nggak Anda melakukan sesuatu? Ini adalah tren global yang menarik. Teknologi, itu semuanya tentang teknologi. Dan Anda sudah mendengar dari Pak Luhut tentang Silicon Valley. Mari kita bawa Silicon Valley ke Indonesia. 250 juta orang. Anda harusnya bisa melakukannya. Ini 3 hal yang dilakukan. Apabila kita meningkatkan konektivitas, kita bisa menjadi mempunyai pengetahuan tentang digital, kita bisa menyertakan masyarakat miskin apabila kita bisa menggunakan ponsel. Apabila Anda bisa melakukan transaksi di ponsel, kita bisa mendapatkan data.
How do we jumpstart it? The first, is the internet. The second is the mobile phone. And then the third is social media. Raise your hand if you have a social media account. All of us, everyone in the room, right? So everyone in the room. Here's what's happening now. Everything is being destroyed, and you may not feel it, but you're part of this. The word is creative destruction, right? Look at it. Does anyone here buy a CD anymore, or do you use Spotify, right? Friends, yes, we still see each other, but Facebook connects us, right? Telecommunications to Skype, photography. Eastman Kodak went bankrupt, and it had all of the digital patents for photography at the same time that Instagram came up and was bought for $1.3 billion simultaneously. That shows you there. So let me just show you what we're trying to do. This is it. In the old world, it used to be just linear growth. And Indonesia's growth is amazing in that sense, right? But this is what technology can do. The hockey stick, exponential growth. I said this in Manila to my countrymen, and I say this to my second home in Indonesia. Can you be the Uber of nations? Can you use technology to grow exponentially? Using technology, we can find new ways of solving old problems so that we can actually achieve this. And I'm going to ask you before you leave if you can choose one and work for it, right? This is how I started. This is the most recent book that I wrote, which is about how terrorism spreads. And you can map it. The thing is, if you can map, in this book I mapped how terrorism spread from Afghanistan to Southeast Asia. And you can see Here's Osama bin Laden, right? He's connected to Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the 9/11 architect. He's connected to an Indonesian, the operations chief of JI, Hambali. They're connected, another Indonesian, Dulmatin, but this is the Philippines down here. This man, Salih Said, is a member of the Abu Sayyaf who kidnapped 3 of my journalists in July 2008, and I had to negotiate to get them out, right? We are all connected. Now, if you can connect physically, you can chart the social networks, we can harness the power of social networks, and we can map the spread of emotions. This is the way I see the world. You have an idea, you can spread it. You spread an idea, that's your power, right? If this is us in this room, and you want to spread an idea, you think that you're going to give it to number 10. And when you hit number 10, click that one, Marga, just click it. Right. Oh, no, go back. You have to wait. Click. And when you see it, it'll spread only this far. It only spreads to here. That's called the echo chamber. If you're only talking to your family and friends, that's a physical social network. But imagine what social media does. Social media takes your family and friends and gets rid of boundaries of time and space. Social media are your family and friends on steroids. Now, if I wanted to spread it, I would hit 10, 17, and 2 and watch. That's viral, right? This is the way we see it today, and I think how you can make a difference. It's how we made a difference in the Philippines in Rappler. What we see, the tip of the iceberg, the tweet or the post is only the start. But the post, whatever you write, has an emotion. And that emotion travels on your social networks, on social media, and that impacts behavior. You can move all of this. That's how you can move Indonesia. And you know how I know? That's what we did with Rappler. Rappler started 3 years ago, and our core is still journalism. Still journalism, but we embedded technology in it. And we embedded our crowd, our community, because in the end, we want to progress, right? We want to make things better. We put Rappler in the middle, and we used, this is your information. We used social media, because you can see how fast information spreads. For crowdsourcing, when you all come together to do something together, you can actually change your world. And every step you take on social media or on the internet leads to big data. We can take that big data and throw it right back and run even faster. In less than a year and a half, Rappler became the 3rd top online news site in the Philippines. We're very small here in Indonesia, and we just want to give Indonesians our platform to see if you can use it in the same way we used it in the Philippines. Here's where social media was the game changer. This is when it began, in July of 2009. So this is a Google trend. You know what happened in July 2009? Social media hit a tipping point. Why? Because the numbers are here. I can give them to you later, but look at this. In July of 2010, social media overtook pornography as the #1 activity on the web. And you know why? From the time the internet was discovered, was created until July 2009, until July 2009, pornography was the #1 activity. But in July 2009, social media overtook it. Why? Because when you're on social media, I can give you the studies, but it was nicer to put it like this. When you're on social media, your emotions are being hypersensitive. So in Stanford, they did a study, and they showed that students who were on social media, on Facebook and Twitter, actually had higher levels of certain chemicals and hormones. Like oxytocin is called the love hormone, the sex hormone. So you feel like you're falling in love or you're having... So that's why it could beat pornography as the #1 activity web. The other thing is dopamine. Are you familiar with dopamine? It's a chemical. It causes mild addiction, right? Mild addiction to gambling. So you know when you're on Facebook or Twitter or Path, sometimes it's hard to get off, right? So what can you do with that social media? You can crowdsource. So this is the initial crowdsourcing we do on Rappler. Every story has a mood meter. You click how you feel. When you do that, the data point is aggregated by the mood navigator, and then the mood navigator, all that data can come out like this. In the Philippines in May 2013, we had midterm elections, and we knew based on our data that 77% of Filipinos were happy, but on election day, they were very angry. And they became angry at 7:30 at night when the election results were slow. I can show you some of the stats from your elections here. It was exciting elections on social media, which I'm sure you've seen. This is the God's eye view. When you tweet, when you post, these are Twitter maps. And you can actually see how you fit in your community. This is March of 2011, the Japan earthquake and the Fukushima reactor incident. And the Japanese behave the same way Indonesians behave in crisis, the same way Filipinos behave in crisis. We form clumps around sources of information. That is 6 months before the US presidential elections, and you can see how divided Americans were between Mitt Romney and Barack Obama. They couldn't decide, right? Actually, you could see the same thing between Jokowi and Prabowo in the last elections. It was fascinating watching your Twitter map. Hashtag Egypt, that's what a revolution looks like. And hashtag Syria, the question I had when I saw this is, when this begins to look like this, does that mean the revolution happened? I want to show you 3 things that show you in real life. This is from the Philippines. Hashtag Million People March. It took one Facebook post 7 days to be able to get about 100,000 to 130,000 people, Filipinos, on the streets protesting against corruption. It was against corruption. And you know, that never really happened in the Philippines because we thought corruption doesn't matter that much, but it really does. So what happened? Well, it's our first internet peer-to-peer driven protest. And when you're walking around here, it's kind of boring because there's no program, there's no stage, and you can see the map. Look at the map. It's very messy, right? So here's the role of journalists. Each of these colors there are little communities trying to form. And what do they form around? They form around information. So I see our role as journalists is to be able to give the public the information they need to create communities of action, right? Let's go to the Philippines. Sorry, let's go to Indonesia and the Philippines before I come to Indonesia at the end. Mary Jane Veloso is, what you may be familiar with is the Bali Nine. But there was a Filipina who was also supposed to be executed. And we began the stories in hashtag Mary Jane as journalists on March 31. And then you can see it became, our community took it and made it hashtag Save Mary Jane on April 26. And then it became hashtag Mary Jane Lives on April 29. How did that happen? And you can kind of see how journalists work with you, right? This is how it happened. We started as journalists first, here, Rappler, Indonesia. We're starting a conversation on Mary Jane Fiesta Veloso. And it's about facts. What are the facts? Do you know the story? And then in the Philippines, Move PH took a more advocacy position with the youth. And what they did is they began a petition online. And here's the funny thing. Our president called your president on a pink Nokia Hello Kitty telephone because they were in APEC and they couldn't find a telephone that worked. And when he spoke with President Jokowi, that was just at the tail end. And at 1 a.m, there was a reprieve that allowed Mary Jane Veloso to testify. This is what the map looked like. And you can see the combination from Indonesia. These are Indonesians, Pak Jokowi at Jokowi Dodot. And then you can see in the Philippines, newspaper, Rappler Indonesia, Rappler.com, Inquirer, our newspapers. Look at the little communities that form and how they come together. That's how you can move your country. Now let's go to the latest hashtag that's here in Indonesia. Hashtag Tragedy Mina. Right? Look at your numbers. This is just from today, from the September 24 to September 25. 10 billion. 10,7,783,000 tweeting over the weekend. And look at this community. But you don't see a clear leader, right? So people, Indonesians are looking for information. How can you mobilize that? I'll leave you with just one last thing. Sorry, I want to show you. Let's look. Are you tweeting hashtag 2030 now? Let's look at the community right now. I'm going to just quickly show you this. What's the community?
Yang mau nge-tweet silakan.
So map your community. Let's look at what exactly So we'll see hashtag 2030 now, and we'll see what communities are forming around that, right? And when you can see that, then you can see who you're connected to. That's live. That's right now. Okay, Rappler ID. Who's this? The UN Foundation is using hashtag 2030 now with us. Here's another community. Elizabeth Oy Frank. Who are these? Let's zoom in. We brought Manila in. UN Development Fund. Queen Rania is part of the conversation now. Oops, now you can see the Rapplers are here. That means we're tweeting more than you are. Where are you, Indonesian youth? Right? Helen Clark at UNDP. So you can see that we can form these communities. What can we do with that? Can we move? I'll leave you with one last thing, which is this. We use this for disaster risk reduction because we have an average of 20 typhoons every year in the Philippines. But Indonesia has floods. Indonesia has disasters. Please take this platform and make it your own. What can we do? We work together with the crowd. And what you can do is report on SMS. You can report on Twitter or Facebook if you have information or you need help. And then the last one is you can report on the web. We want to do bottom up and connect it with top down. It's a very complex world and we can't wait for government alone to do everything for us, right? You guys are smart, you're young, you've got more energy. Why are all the women nodding and all the men? Where are you, men? Let me show you the last thing. This is when we had a tipping point in the Philippines. These are all people from our community. Somebody reported a rescue alert. May babaeng nagle-labor. There's a woman in labor on the roof of a house. And then you can see here, rescued by the Philippine Red Cross. The first responder can come on. I'm going to leave you with one last 1-minute video that shows you what a community can do together and how you can make everything transparent and help each other, help government, help us. Here we go. This is Typhoon Glenda. Typhoon Glenda, known internationally as Ramasun, intensifies as it moves closer to the Bicol Samar area Tuesday. That's our community, tweeting and putting, right? And then the government has given us this data that shows you where the flooding can occur, so you can see it. Now everyone, our kids, are the ones who have put some of this out. Winds picking up here in South. They're telling each other, because you don't have enough journalists in your communities. You're a journalist now. I'll shut up. And the government. There has never been a generation with as much power as you have, with the ability to hold government, to hold the private sector, to hold companies accountable, and to help, right? You know what spreads fastest on the internet? The emotion that spreads fastest is anger. Anger spreads fastest. The second that spreads fastest is inspiration. Fight the anger. We already know what's wrong. Why not help inspire so that we can actually end poverty, end hunger? You know, that's one of mine. I'll tell you what I'm after. Me, gender equality, quality education, zero hunger, and no poverty. Those are mine, and by extension, Rappler's. I hope Rappler. But we can do it with the technology. Use your power wisely. I'm so glad to be back in Jakarta. Terima kasih banyak.
Thank you, Maria. Wait. Okay. So Maria, you choose no poverty, right?
No poverty.
No poverty.
We can do it because now, if with the mobile phones, you know, think about the way aid can spread, for example, or the way government can actually help, or the way people can help. We can do it on mobile. And if we can do it on mobile, we can reach everyone, even if internet connectivity is slow. Sorry, I'll shut up. I'm very excited about
Yeah,
this.
but we have a Q&A first. Oke, ada sesi tanya jawab ya, mumpung ada Maria Ressa di sini karena beliau sibuk sekali. Kalian boleh bertanya. Sebentar, dua pertanyaan. Pertama, siapa yang mau bertanya soal social media dan perubahan, dan silakan yang mau bertanya di depan. Atau bagaimana ini bisa diaplikasikan di Indonesia, bisa nggak kita seperti ini kalau ada misalnya gempa di mana gitu kan. Oke, silakan dua pertanyaan, atau ada yang mau tanya soal terorisme, jaringan teroris. Silakan, ayo. Dua pertanyaan. Pertama, yang di depan. Any question? Because we
First of all, ladies, would you like to sit?
Yeah. Dua pertanyaan.
Would
Ya,
anyone-
silakan.
Go ahead, silakan.
Nama dan dari mana ya?
Please tell me your name.
Selamat pagi, saya Fani, mahasiswi Hubungan Internasional dari Universitas Dr. Mustafa. Pertanyaan saya untuk Ibu Maria Ressa, hal apa yang membuat Anda sangat tertarik dengan Indonesia? Mengapa tidak memulai dari negara Anda sendiri, Filipina? Ya, terima kasih.
Thank you, terima kasih for your question. First, for me, I came to Indonesia in 1995. I was a journalist here, and I set up a bureau for CNN. And in 1995, there's so many things that are still the same, right? Like haze, for example. But 1995, 1996, the worst riots through Jakarta. I don't know if you remember the PDI. It was still PDI at that point, the PDI riots. The haze and then the financial crisis in 1997, 1998, the fall of Suharto. Then we had the fall of Suharto ending nearly 32 years. We had a Pandora's box. Why am I telling you all of this? I grew up here. I lived here for a decade. Grew up in the sense of being a journalist. I learned so much. You know what we knew in 1998? No one expected Suharto to fall. No one. And I was in touch with all of back then, they were very quietly trying to work against a one-man rule, but they were trying to be outspoken. And then I watched them go into government. People like Mari Pangestu, Dewi Fortuna Anwar, they were all my analysts that we wound up using a lot on CNN. It was amazing to be here and to feel. I think the feeling I had in Indonesia in 1998 is the same feeling I have now with technology. That there is a sense that something is happening, that the world is changing, and we can do something about it. So that's a long answer to why. So there's a personal reason why, but then beyond that, we are neighbors. Where Indonesia goes, Southeast Asia goes. So we want to help you, plus the youth in Indonesia. These are the things we have in common. The median age in the Philippines is 22 years old. The median age in Indonesia is 23 years old. We have 100 million people, you have 250 million people. Together, we actually are the largest parts of ASEAN. But where Indonesia goes, the whole region goes. So we have a lot at stake watching you and hoping that you lead us to better times, right? I watched Indonesia I've covered ASEAN every year from 1987 to 2005. So I could see the governments in our region working, but I think the youth, I love the questions you asked immediately, right? And Indonesia's in a different place now. That's it.
Oke, satu
So-
pertanyaan ya.
Saya juga mau terima kasih sama Ibu karena telah mencintai Indonesia seperti Anda mencintai.
Oke. Thank you for loving Indonesia.
Thank you. Thank you. And
Yeah.
then, you know what we hope is that the lessons we learned in building the platform of Rappler is something that we can help with here. You see it. I think I watch Indonesia all the time on social media, and you're huge. In the same way that in 1997, 91% of the companies in Indonesia were technically bankrupt, but Indonesia did not go bankrupt. There is a strength to Indonesians, there is a resilience to Indonesians, and I want to learn from you what you can do with the technology we have. Sorry, the last point. We have some amazing Indonesians we're working with. You can see Fabri and our team in Indonesia, in Jakarta. So please help us. If you see something, if we can help in any way, let us know.
Ya, masih ada pertanyaan lagi? Silahkan. Oke, silahkan. One question.
Hello, my name is Tisa. I'm
Hi,
from
Tisa.
Parahyangan Catholic University. Actually, I would like to ask you maybe one or two questions.
Sure.
Because I am involved in organization and we kind of develop a website to provide a volunteer experience through website and engage the community. And how can you maintain the community reliability information and also, for example, to control, because it seems like based on your data, it shows how community works, but how can we as the founder of the program or maybe the innovator for the website to maintain and control the community itself to engage with us and involve with us? Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's a great question. And the first response is that in today's age, you have to give to get. You have to lose control to actually build community. Does that make sense? Right? If you're on social media, you know this, right? No one can control. Control is out the window. And part of the reason governments and large companies have a difficult time with social media is that we have to let go of power. So part of it is, that's the first step. It's a little bit more like Buddhism than it is Christianity or Islam. Lose control. You have to trust the crowd. And the crowd can turn into a lynch mob like that. It can turn angry immediately. So there's a risk in building community, right? But when you build community and you trust the community, inevitably, the community will trust you back. This new world is about credibility. It's no longer about the brand or just what you want. You have to listen to your community and ask them what they want as you build it. So that's the big overarching thing. But in terms of nuts and bolts, how do you build your community? You need to put both online and offline, right? The online allows you to grow a lot without boundaries of time and space, which is important in Indonesia. So I was reporting from here, and I reported from all 27 of the provinces when you had 27 provinces. And the 27th was East Timor. And I reported that too. So again, now you have many more. You're the largest archipelago in the world. So social media will allow you to actually expand. The second step is you have to feed them what they need. In our world, it's user first. That's a tech world. what does your user need? You cannot just ask them to do things for you, which is what crowdsourcing is. What do they need? And then the last thing I would say is that you can't do it artificially anymore. Like in the past, if you have a lot of money, you can sell a bad product. Now, I don't think you can. Now, Indonesia, because of your internet penetration rate, still has a ways to go. I wish our mobile would be better or faster. You can talk to there will be Indonesian CEOs, including Nadim, who can talk to you about Gojek, which I think I love. You can see what Indonesians are doing with the restraints now, and maybe you can ask him a question then. We can talk more about it later, there's so much more.